Welcome to TheEatingCast. I'm Chris.
And I'm Vincent. And today we're joined by a good friend, Matt, and my fiancée, Rachel. But today we're going to talk about what?
Matt's
toxic relationships.
Yes.
Oh, toxic relationships. We're breaking bread.
Breaking bread.
And today we have food from Bangkok Thai. Because I know y'all going out to eat later for this guy's birthday. Nothing big. We got some curry puffs, chicken satay, and I think that's vegetable spring rolls right here.
A version.
Huh?
A version of
Are these bananas?
A version of it.
Or those chickens?
Where do you see bananas?
Oh, those are bananas.
Oh my god.
I was like, where do you see bananas? I mean, it does
He
look
literally said it's chicken.
Oh.
And you went, is that banana?
It is not a banana, sir.
Yes.
Though it does look kind of like the fried plantains. It's not a fried plantain right
Oh my
now.
god. All of our brains are mushy today.
Yeah.
I'm fucking tired.
So I did the dumb thing of going out to Millennium,
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah. and I was
Oh, lucky.
I went and didn't get home till like 1. Ate some gyms. Went to bed at like 2.
And
And
then
then woke up.
Woke?
Up.
I'm woke.
I'm woke. No, I woke up at like 5 o'clock to go to work,
Yeah.
and here I am.
Wow.
I'm exhausted.
How was the show though?
It was good. It was really good. Devin was really good, and what's the name?
Kali.
Yeah, Kali was also really good.
Damon, Kali, Lenny, if you're listening to this, please sponsor us.
Sponsor us with what? Music?
Music.
Oh yeah, dude, I'm down.
Tickets.
Oh my god. Chris is like, yes, music for the podcast. And you're like, I want some tickets. Like,
I know.
priorities.
Priorities.
All
You can
right.
tell. I'm all about that free music.
Yeah.
The free 99.
SoundCloud anyway.
He's all about the free 99 to go to concerts.
Shall we dig it?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Not hungry?
I did just eat.
I'll just have this little chicken piece.
There you go. It's some peanut. You're not allergic to peanuts, right?
No.
No,
Okay.
you can eat peanuts.
I know which peanuts he's eating tonight.
Who's
Who's
that?
Sorry.
I was like, who's
I was-
peanuts?
I was making that
I
dirty
was like,
joke.
gross. Like,
Speaking of peanuts, Matt, tell us about yourself.
Oh my god, yeah. Go ahead and give us a little introduction. Who you are, what you do, what you're about, where you're going.
All right. So
Those are a lot of questions.
sweats.
my name is Matt. I am a senior at Loyola University of Chicago. I'm a student studying biology. Right now, I'm just trying to figure out my life and what I want to do in the future.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
You're not from Chicago. You're from.
No. So my family lives in Florida currently, but I am South Korean. I lived overseas pretty much for the majority of my life, so that was interesting experience, I would say.
Okay. Would you when did you guys move to the States?
Last March.
Oh,
So
okay.
It's only been a little over a year and a half, I'd say.
Okay. And you have a brother,
Twin brother.
Yep,
He's in Florida right now.
So why is he in Florida? I remember he was here.
Yeah, he's working.
Okay.
He
Doing his own
stopped
thing.
going to school just because he wanted to figure out
Mhm.
his passions, I guess. He's actually thinking about applying to business school over there. So hopefully that works out for him.
Yeah.
That's lit.
Shout out to our silo, Brandon.
Silo brand. Wait. So then, what are you in relation to all of this?
In Lambdas,
Yeah.
so Vincent's my pledge dad. So he was my educator.
I pooped this kid out.
Out that anus?
Yeah, that's
That's
right.
why he's so thick.
Yeah.
It's 2019. Like the pop babies out.
So he's my
Okay.
he's my dad, and then she's my mom.
Okay. That's so weird.
Yeah.
But so then you didn't start till later then,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of like Brandon, because Brandon came out.
Brandon was
Yeah.
first.
Brandon
So
was
he
first.
was fall 17, and then I was the semester after that, spring.
Oh,
18.
okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Because from what I knew, Matt was always like shitting out. He's like, "That's so stupid." Like,
Yeah.
frat stuff's stupid. And now
Yeah,
he's
it's
like,
just-
"Rush Lambdas, y'all."
I didn't understand the whole, because we're an Asian interest, organization.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think my thought process was, why can't you just be a regular frat? Why does it have to be labeled Asian interest?
Actually, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I don't
it's-
understand too much about it, so
Yeah.
I don't understand why it's like that.
It's just a cultural thing. When like the founding fathers, we call them, of
Yeah.
our fraternity, they're just trying to set like a, I guess, a new standard for Asian organizations on campus to represent the community. So that's kind of where it started from.
Okay.
And then now it's just like a cultural thing.
Yeah.
The whole I guess minority, like Greek life and fraternities and sororities, they have their own like their own kind of culture.
What was your perspective of it from like international students? Because technically you were like
fraternities in general.
Yeah, like Greek life.
Yeah, I guess I just kind of thought about that stereotype that you see in Hollywood, just partying, maybe hazing.
Yeah, and drugs and all that shit.
Brads and Chads.
Brads and Chads. No law.
Kind of thing.
When you drink in the class.
Which is trash anyway. Just kidding. Some of it's pretty good. Some of the flavors are pretty good.
No. White Claw tastes like static electricity.
That's an interesting way to describe it, actually. So I've never had a White Claw, but I had this one like Polish vodka. It didn't taste like vodka.
It doesn't.
It was 100 proof. It was a liqueur vodka. I can't remember the name, but it straight up tastes like.
Oh.
Sorry. It straight up tastes like peppermint.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I was like, dude.
It's dangerous.
This is really dangerous.
It's really dangerous.
Wow. Was it cheap?
I don't know. I didn't ask the guy how much that bottle was. I just had it. I was like, okay, I'm pouring a cup full of this.
Drinking must have been so easy in Korea.
It was.
Like the age limit was what?
It was 19.
19.
Oh shit.
Or it is 19.
Yeah.
So, it was great. It was a lot of fun. Nightlife culture over there is very.
We gotta go.
It's.
I feel like it's more laid back.
Yeah, it is. I guess because they're over here. There are a lot of young kids trying to go everywhere, and so I feel like when I'm here trying to go out to bars, because a lot of people think I look younger than I am.
Hey, baby.
You look like you're 18.
Yeah, he looks like a baby, right?
Asian.
Him
Asian.
and yeah.
I get that all the time. So I feel like I'm being like they're like watching me all the time, whereas over there
Dude, speaking of like Asians and other people that like pretty much don't age, like they don't look like they age.
Yeah.
Like I heard, or from what I've witnessed, the girls typically don't want to date those guys because they look like babies.
So they want a more masculine man.
Yeah.
They want a more manly man.
It's almost like it's kind of a Western thing. Like being super Americanized, like is the ideal man is like super macho, hyper masculine, like tall, dark, and handsome is the theme for men, and it's like you need someone that's strong, that looks like mature, and things like that. And then you have like you guys look like babies, like you guys all look very young.
So what settled you onto this guy?
Yeah, I mean.
I don't even know.
He definitely looked like a baby.
You should have seen him at 16. He was like a super baby. He looked like he was 14.
Shaved their pubes and sprinkled it on me.
Not even. You didn't even have chin
That
hair.
looks like, that's literally my facial hair.
You had no hair at that point. You
Someone
had like
was
a bowl cut.
And it just
Oh my
stuck.
god. He did have a bowl cut.
He had the
There's the picture right there.
This is a Justin Bieber cut.
he had
That's
the
not
beaver
bowl
cut, which was really popular in like 2012 and 13 when we were in high school. So that just dated how old we were. But like, but when we met, like he had a bowl cut and like he wore cargo shorts, and I was like, oof. But he was funny. So that was the thing that I'm the kind of person where like if you make me laugh, you're in. Like, hey. He's like, wait a minute, I'm alarmed. Like, but because I thought humor was a big thing, and he was a good conversationalist.
Okay.
Now he's all like, if you leave your shit out one more time, I'm gonna kill you, kind of conversationalist. But but that's what happens when you live together. That's a little different.
It's like, if you leave your little caterpillars on the sink table
Yeah,
again,
he's like, if you leave your
I'm going
eyelashes
to.
on the sink again, I might just blow up the house. Like, because he hates it. Because I have the lashes that are the quote unquote like the very stereotypical like the Asian baby girl lashes that are really long and like they're thick and they look like a small spider if they're attached. And
Or a caterpillar.
Or a caterpillar. And
Or a centipede.
Yeah, and I'll leave them on the sink. And like I remember one time I left them there and I can hear him in the bathroom go like at full volume, and he was like, he had them in his hand and he was like, stop this.
Well, you know what's...
What do you mean, like, stop this? Do you mean stop putting the lashes on, or stop leaving them here?
Stop leaving them on the sink. But I lived by myself at that point, so it didn't really matter, and he was just visiting me. But
He was freaking the fuck out.
he just hated it. Like, so.
I haven't seen
wild.
that many lashes also until I met like ABGs. Did you say everywhere. Lashes.
Lash here, lash there.
Blonde highlights. Blonde hair.
Yeah.
But
And you know what's great? It's just funny.
That's
Most
crazy.
of them, from what I've seen, the stereotype is that they date toxic men.
yes.
Toxic men.
Yeah.
It's a concept of like this toxic hypermasculinity that stems into the relationship of very much like, I'm very macho, you need to respect me, I'm the man.
Yeah.
Like, I can talk to you however I want and you can't do shit about it kind of stuff. It's very...
So many light bulbs just turned on.
It's a lot, but that's also about, it's part of the culture. It's about how they're raised. It's about how they were shown that a man should treat a woman. Like, a man's first example of how to treat a woman is how his mother's treated by his father. In the case of heterosexual couples.
Yeah.
So it's a little, that's where it kind of starts. And even for young women, like, you see, there are some women like us, like, where when we're talking about toxic relationships, the first relationship we see is our parents, and we create that subconsciously. So my philosophy is always that you create, the relationship you create is the one you have with the parent you have the most beef with.
Matt, would you say, because I know you shared before off record about a toxic relationship you were in. Were you the toxic one, or was she the toxic one?
Or both.
It was me.
Yeah.
What'd
you do?
That was, let's see, it was, like, looking back on it, it's kind of weird thinking about it, because it's not, like, previously, even now, it's not something I usually do, but, it wasn't physical or anything, it was more just me kind of, I guess, berating her a lot, because it was a distance relationship, and
How far was
I'll
she?
be honest, like, she was in Rhode Island.
Oh man.
Oh my
That's
God.
far.
And you were...
Here. This was a couple years ago.
Oh.
Oh, like
So,
right
my
when you
sophomore
started-
year, yeah.
Oh my
So
God.
I met her
That's
the
a
summer.
long time ago, man.
This is a weird story. I met her the summer of my after my freshman year in Korea. I was just there visiting home and family, and she was there doing a summer program. So I met her through a friend of mine, and basically we spent like the whole summer together. And I guess long story short, like, yeah, we tried the distance thing, and like I told her, like, you've never done this before, you should think about it. Really put some thought into it, but it ended up happening, and then she didn't really know how to like, I guess I had like a lot of expectations because I'd been in one before, whereas she didn't, and she like partied a lot, and it kind of made me insecure about it.
Yeah.
So, not that I was demeaning to her or anything, but I kind of gave her a hard time a lot, and didn't really handle it probably the best way I could have.
Because at the time you were like, you didn't really party as much, right?
No, I did not in college.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah, you know, coming from Korea where the drinking age is 19 and
Right, because you're experienced.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then, yeah, I didn't know a lot of people that like to go out either. Like, my friends at the time were pretty just chill. They just like to stay in, so, yeah, I don't know, there was just a lot of communication that she didn't know how to, like, or I guess she didn't think was necessary, and that kind of just made me paranoid, I guess. So, but it was weird because once we both like talked about it for a while and decided it wasn't gonna work out, I kind of I just remember having this moment, like, it was kind of like out of body, where I just kind of was reflecting on everything that happened for the past like few months, and I was just like, wow, like, I can't believe I was like this to her. You know, I was, and after that I was like, okay, no more dating, like, just do your own thing.
Like, take your, like, self-care first. Yeah.
I was like, just focus on you, like, don't worry about feelings, because
Figure out yourself.
Yeah, I catch feelings easily if it happens.
Yeah.
Girls walk through the door. Oh, hi.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like,
Don't
if
flirt
I
with me
catch
because I
feelings
will
for
fall in love
someone,
with you.
yeah, honestly,
Wow.
if I catch feelings for someone, it's very strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And genuine. So I was just like, do your own thing, like, no feelings. Yeah, it was a big like reflection period for me, just to kind of look at myself and why I sort of, a big part of my self-esteem, I would say it still is, like, when I was a neo for Lambdas, a big part of my self-esteem as, you know, a frat bro was having game and like being able to talk to different girls, and that's something even this summer I've been like reflecting on too was why do I care so much about it when it shouldn't be that important? Because it's fun, right?
It's fun, but also I think because this society, that's how men kind of like, not size each other up.
Yeah.
Would you say size
It's
each
alpha
other?
status.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah,
status.
exactly. And definitely.
It's how
like,
big of a presence you have in the room.
whose ding dong is bigger? Like
Whose ding dong?
It's
Whose ball
basically,
sack drags on the
it's
floor
basically like
the longest.
you're peacocking at
Who
each
got
other.
splinters in their sack?
Yeah. Ew. But it's more
That's
like
a nasty one, but
that was
okay.
nasty, but it's valid. But like the big thing is like, so as a woman, we see what you guys do. Like women are very aware of like how you guys.
But why do they
act.
play? With
We
it?
play the game because it's what we know. We know how to win the game. We know how to.
So
it's fun.
It's fun, but it's
so
also
y'all know how to win the game, and we're just playing the game.
you're playing the game that we designed, essentially, almost in a way. So the way that it works
I've
is
been player 2 all along.
That's funny.
so the biggest thing was
My
like
remote control was not plugged in the whole time.
I thought I was the top screen.
She's controlling you.
I know, right?
But the biggest thing is that, like, for you guys come from this very hyper-masculine culture, like Asian culture as, like, an overarching, from what I've understood it to be. It's quite toxic, especially to be a man, but also being a woman is, like, it's not an ideal situation to be in. For most, ethnic, racial groups, being a woman is not the best idea. And, like, the way that men treat you and the way that you're expected to be is a little different. And I think when you were talking about how, I was berating her all the time because I was insecure, that's a big thing that you see in a lot of guys, is that guys will shame or be cruel to the girl because it's like, I'm hurting, so she needs to hurt too, and I'm going to cut her at the jugular because I know that me talking down to her, me being mean to her, hurts her more. And that's a toxic behavior in itself. We want other people to hurt because we're hurting. We want them to understand, like, our hurt feelings. So if we're in the hurt together, but then nobody wins. And I think that's something that we're taught from children, that like it's modeled in what our relationship is supposed to be. Like, not to air out everyone's dirty laundry, but your parents are divorced. My parents are divorced. Your parents are married. Your parents are married. But you can see it all, whether parents are divorced or they're married, how their relationships play out and like how we play that out. So like for you guys, it may be that a man is supposed to be stern and cruel and tough, but that's toxic.
Yeah.
And then it almost borderlines on emotional and verbal abuse. Mm-hmm. It's abusive behavior because you guys were abused yourselves by a parent.
So I guess I'll ask Matt, but like when you were, I guess, berating her, right? In that moment, did you realize you were being toxic, or you were just it just felt like natural to just kind of?
Yeah, I think in the moment there was definitely a part of me that realized like this isn't right and it's not healthy.
Yeah.
But obviously, like when you're so, I don't know, when you're so in your feels with someone, like you really want it to work out. Like that's pretty much all you're thinking about. Yeah, I think a lot of the ways I reacted towards her was probably just my emotions coming out very strongly and me not knowing how to kind of harness it and channel it to her and kind of just communicate what I expected.
Yeah.
And then also not thinking rationally about, because ultimately, like I knew it wasn't going to work out, but I wanted it to so bad that I kind of just thought I'm going to do whatever it takes. And then at the same time, like when things didn't go the way I wanted them to, I would channel my anger at her or frustrations rather than, I guess, be more civil about it. So, but I think I definitely knew.
Did she ever like call you out on it?
We definitely had talks about it, and there were a couple times where she would, she was like, there were a couple times where she would say, like, this is not how, you shouldn't treat me like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the partner being abused won't ever really say it.
Yeah.
I feel they're just scared to either get, abused more, for one, losing that other person, and then I guess that kind of also just plays into the role that they don't feel good enough to find someone else. Right?
It's all psychological.
I don't know if it's I don't feel good enough to find someone else. Like, I know for me that I was on the receiving end of the toxic one. I know maybe I exhibited toxic behaviors where I was feeding into it and letting the other person I was dating, like before I met you, like I was dating somebody else, and we were in this toxic kind of relationship, like where he would just say things to me that were like not okay, and he didn't really care about my feelings about anything. My anxiety was a joke. Like I was just too anxious. I needed to stop worrying. But it's almost like it's PTSD kind of, like, especially being a victim like of that. Like you're afraid, like because if you're berated and screamed at and told you're no good and made to feel like you're no good. Like any relationship going forward, you kind of already feel that way. And like even if you could say like you can't talk to me like that, there's always that promise of like he is the only one that can make me feel better. Not like you, but like the person that's doing the abuse can only make me feel better. It's this cycle. Because the person does the abusing and then they come back and they're like, I'm so sorry, like I shouldn't talk to you like that, I'll never do it again.
That's a roller coaster.
It's the cycle repeats itself. No, it's not up and down, it's circular. It's a circular cycle. But a lot of people only think of like toxicity as like physical violence.
Yeah.
But saying to someone like berating them or being cruel to them like on purpose is toxic, because no one really teaches you how to say like you've hurt my feelings because of X, Y, and Z. We weren't ever exhibited ways to show that. And unless you go to see like a therapist or something, you're never shown those tools.
But there's also so there's physical abuse in a toxic relationship. There's also verbal abuse, but I think something that no one really talks about either is the emotional abuse, right? And I think for a while I'm still trying to figure it out, but when someone is not in tune with themselves, and they don't know that they're exhibiting certain behaviors, they take it on, not necessarily take it out, like target their significant other, but their actions hurt the relationship, even though they think it doesn't.
Yeah, or even in some cases they target their significant other. Their significant other is the scapegoat for feelings. Like, oh, if I push all my bullshit onto him or her, and then I break up with them, my whole life will be solved.
Oh, hell no.
But that's not it at all.
Like, you still carry all that baggage, no matter what.
Yeah.
It's because, like, what did I say? I forgot what I was going to say, but I remember in my previous relationship, it was pretty, like, toxic. You know, I can't remember if we've talked about it a lot, but yeah, but, I remember there was one time, like, we fell off, right? And I personally chose not to, like, speak to her or see her for, like, X amount of time. Right? Just because, like, I needed to be away from that, right? Get my thoughts straight. And I was at the gym, and it just so happened that she came at the exact same time and everything like that. She wanted to talk. We talked, we went to get dinner, and then at the end of it, she was just asking, like, pretty much, like, when's the next time, you know, we can hang out. And then I was like, I'll think about it. And I didn't realize that was it was, like, passive, but also, it was, like, passive-aggressive, right? It's like, I'll think about it, meaning, like, I'll see if
I feel up to it. Yeah.
And she took it really hard, And then when we did make up or whatever, she told me that when I said that, it really, like, fucked her up that day.
I don't even know if that was passive aggressive.
That was just me being, like, honest about it.
It was you being honest.
I think your intentions were probably just, like, you probably meant, like, I need some time right now. Like, I'll see when I feel better. But she probably took that as, like, oh, I don't know, maybe, like it wasn't a priority of yours. Yeah. So she probably just took that really hard. So.
Probably. But yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. It was really toxic in a sense where, like, it was word twisting.
Gaslighting.
That's the term. That's the term, yeah.
Gaslighting. Yeah. So gaslighting is like when, so say you and me are having a conversation and I know exactly what happened. Like I said, okay, tomorrow we're going to do this, and you go, yes. Then the next day I say, okay, we're going to be doing this, and you're like, you never said that. You never told me that. Like you act like you don't know what I'm talking about and make me seem like the crazy person.
Mm-hmm.
That's a thing, yeah. Like gaslighting is, love bombing is a thing.
Ooh, love bombing.
The love bombing is a big one. Like that's a huge toxic behavior.
What's that?
So love bombing is when like
they know what you like and everything that will make you happy, and they give that all to you in the beginning of the relationship. So they bomb you.
Mm-hmm, so they can have you, or
I know someone.
yeah, or what'll happen is like say for example me and Vincent are fighting, and then we break up, and I'm like, I don't want to see you, I don't even want to speak to you ever again, and then he starts like texting me all the time like, I love you, I've changed, I'm a better man. He starts sending me flowers, he does all this shit. Like,
I don't give you flowers now.
You don't give me flowers now.
I will give you flowers now.
That's why I said it's hypothetical. Like,
when I might give you the wrong flowers.
Yeah, he would send me like these sunflowers. I'm like, ew, but like
no cooking flowers.
Yeah, or he sends me bags of like flour. That was exactly what he would do.
It's like shit.
Yeah, he's like, wait, wrong. But that they do everything to bring you back in, and then they don't change.
Mm-hmm.
That's what love bombing is, and that's a huge thing about like. Another thing that ties in is like a person's narcissism.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people who are narcissists, like that are narcissistic in the relationship, it's all about them and their feelings and what they want. When they usually pick somebody that's kind of weak or emotional that they can abuse and they can manipulate to get what they want. And they'll usually say they'll be cruel, but then they'll be like, no, baby, I love you. Like, I shouldn't have said that to you. Like, they'll just be like on another level of toxic. And then they'll start doing the love bombing. Like, oh, they see that the other person is doing well, and they move on, and then they come right into their life, and they're like, no, like, I've changed. I'm a better man or woman, however
why do they keep falling for that?
Because some people, it's
like clinging on to the past.
It's that, but it's also like if it's giving somebody the benefit of the doubt. Some people are like, you know what, like, I do believe people can change. I do believe that, like, you know, with time and effort, like, I know I'm not the same person I was. Things have happened in my life where I've changed, and I know I've changed, and I've proven it. But for some people, they just do that, and there's also the belief that a leopard never changes his spots. So it's just all about giving people the benefit of the doubt.
Sometimes more than once, though.
I feel like it's also just kind of like that emotional connection or the emotional bond that you created with that one individual, right? And it's like you don't want to lose it, right?
That's trauma bonding.
Yeah, it's trauma bonding, but at the same time, it's like for the individual that's like that has that trauma, it's like they feel like picking it back up would make them whole again, kind of, because like it's like you invested so much time into this one other person, even though it was like, you know, love bombing and it was really toxic. You know, it's the fact that they feel like they invested so much time that they feel like they need to just keep going back and back. It's like you said, like an endless cycle.
It's kind of a time thing, because I know from like as a person who was the abused standpoint, it's more along the lines of like, I know that he or she is not always like this.
Yeah.
I know that you're a better person than this, and like people don't see it. All they see is the negative stuff.
Yeah.
But if like a couple is taking the time to like change how they communicate and understand and like go through the toxicity and unpack it and kind of find what the root of it is and make steps to change, I think that people can change. But I'm also the kind of person where you get one opportunity. If you fuck up and then if I decide that you get another opportunity, you really gotta haul through it. You gotta like give me 200%. I need a 4.0 in this. Like, you need to be on the president of the honor society of this relationship.
God damn it!
Yeah,
I only got a 2.8 in school.
Yeah, me too. But like, that's how I am. Like, you get one opportunity to fix things. I'm not gonna keep giving you chances. Like, you fucked me over once and we're done. Because I respect myself enough where like I also will call people on their shit. Like, if I know you're acting out for some reason and this isn't who you typically are, I know there's something else bothering you. So let's just air it out now and like, let's get it over. Let's make a plan and let's go forward. But a lot of people who are trapped in the toxicity, they just want to stay in it. Some people, like especially the abusers, see nothing wrong with their behavior because they've themselves been abused, or they've seen somebody that they know be abused. Like, for some guys, it's like, I see my dad talk to my mom like that, or I see my mom talk to my dad like that, so women can talk to me like that, or I can talk to my woman like that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's doo-doo.
Matt, have you ever been the victim of a toxic relationship?
No, not really. I guess my freshman year of college, so I was doing distance and dating this.
You love the distance, huh?
Yeah, I don't know what it is with me.
I love you, but as long as you're 5 million miles away, I'm happy.
I need a minimum of 1,000 miles.
Yeah. She was my girlfriend from high school, and so we'd been dating for like 2.5 years at this point.
Yeah.
But
This was when you were still in Korea?
no, this was when I was here.
Okay.
So my freshman year. It wasn't toxic, or I guess it was toxic. I wouldn't say it was abusive, but I think just the distance kind of got to her and me, because my freshman year I was like actually broke. Like I didn't have any money, and she had expectations. Like her parents were giving, I mean, like she had a job, but like her parents gave her an allowance too for college, and I didn't get any of that. So she wanted me to like visit her and stuff, and I think one of the final straws for that relationship for me was she wanted me to fly. We were planning like seeing each other again, because I went to see her in Boston for spring break, and she came to Chicago in the first semester in the fall for Columbus Day weekend. So she wanted me to fly to Boston in the fall for Columbus Day weekend.
Mm-hmm.
But you guys know, like flights during that weekend are really expensive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was looking at them in April and they were like $400
Round trip or one?
round trip.
Oh,
So
well.
I did not have $400.
Right.
So
Yeah,
I was
as a
telling
college
her
kid.
like, hey, like maybe over the summer I'll get a job, but right now like I would prefer if you just stop asking me about it, because I don't have the money right now, and I can't look for flights because I can't afford it. And she got really upset and basically was like, you don't care about me.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
okay.
Like,
So what is that considered?
Ooh. So for that, it's like
that's like emotional abuse. I
That
would
is
say.
emotional.
yes and no.
That's financial abuse.
It's not like she's holding the money against. She's not like, this is my money. It's kind of like, so as a woman, like I know I've experienced that, where I felt like, you know, when you do X, Y, and Z, it says to me, you are not important. And it's not it's not
I feel
abuse.
like more just
it's
a
more
manipulation.
of a manipulative expectation. It's kind of like,
knowing you can't put meet.
when it comes to money, yeah, like that sort of stuff, when money's involved, like I've never been where like, you don't care about me because you won't spend all this money. If you really but if you have money to buy like Yeezys, but you don't have money for a flight,
You can sell those Yeezys.
We got
a plane ticket.
No, that's different.
we got a chit chat. We got a chit chat.
Sorry,
you know what
Yeezys over.
over bait. Like,
Right, no.
okay, Yeezy can suck you off then. How about that? Like, but that's kind of the thing where,
Yeah.
like, I'll give an example. When I come home at night, he traditionally comes home earlier than I do.
Yes.
And there have been multiple times where I walk in the door and he's playing League. Or
How you laugh.
and will completely ignore me.
I bet it's
and
mad.
I will literally stand there for 10 minutes, and then he'll look up and be like, "Oh, you're home," and I'm like, "Motherfucker." And then he'll be like, "What's for dinner?" And I'm like, "Make your own goddamn dinner." Like, I believe
I'm done.
And I've talked.
Yeah.
We'll have these conversations like 5-6 times.
Oh my
So
God.
the last time we talked, I said, "If I come home and you're playing League again," I was crazy. So I was like, "I will throw your laptop out the window."
Oh shit.
And if you think I'm joking, watch me. Try me. And let's see what happens. And he's changed the behavior.
I
But
have mobile league.
now he plays Rise of Nations in the bed. And I'm
Rise
like,
of Kingdoms.
whatever
It's
the
COD,
whatever
bro.
the hell it
Yeah,
is.
COD.
Whatever stupid game it is. So for girls, for women in particular,
Yeah.
if we have to fight for your attention with a phone or a video game, there's a time and a place for it.
Yeah.
I'm fine with you playing. I'm totally fine with it. That's your way to relax. That's your way to calm down. Do it when you know I'm not going to be home, please.
So 3 hours before she comes home.
So, but
Set a
No,
timer.
but you know how league is, right? It takes it's an hour matches.
No, it's like 30-ish.
no, his are like an
30 to an
hour.
Yeah, 30.
It takes them an hour, and he'll be like 10 minutes, 10
'Cause I'm
minutes, 10
trolling.
minutes. Yeah, or like I'll be like or if
Your
it's
ADC's getting carry, dude?
or it'll be about like we have things to do, we got places to go, and he'll be like, okay, just one game of League, it'll only take 10 minutes, and I'm like, you're a goddamn liar, and you know it. So
not even what's that? The all mid one's like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's very much like my thing is that it's about priorities and planning.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, if this is something that it's important to you, when I come home, like I don't talk to you really all day. I'm at work. Like I want to come home to you and I want to be with you in our affairs. Like that's what I want to do. So please respect me and don't be on the computer.
She's in mama mode.
And don't be on the phone. Yeah, and the fact that I have to talk to you like you're a child, that's an issue.
You
Because
don't have to talk to me as a child.
if I talk to you, I'm like, bro, stop doing that shit. You're like, fuck you, don't tell me what to do. Like, and then you just keep doing what you want. So, what do you want me to do? Do you know what I mean? Let's air out all our dirty laundry.
Oh shit.
Oh boy.
Let me plug my ears real quick.
This topic was a trap.
It was definitely.
I shouldn't have asked you. You shouldn't have asked me to be on. But that's what I'm saying. It's about priorities and about what matters.
Yeah.
So for women, like we're like, yeah, I'll put off like getting my nails done or getting my hair done or my eyelashes or whatever, or buying the newest palette if it means that I can get on a plane and I can see you. That's important to us.
Yeah.
But that's crazy that she got mad at you, Matt, like
It-
for not being able to afford a plane ticket.
Like at the time, you didn't have a job, right?
Yeah, so that's kind of like, ugh, that's a little sticky.
So I think
she was hoping you'd become a drug dealer.
She suddenly hopes you're a sugar baby
She
now.
Asian?
yeah, she's Korean.
Oh no.
All those
She came from a
insides.
wealthy family.
Yeah, her dad was pretty well off.
Man, you should just put out like one time. Just be like, I need to get this money.
Could have been a sugar baby.
Yeah, you could have been the sugar baby of that relationship.
I was for a little. No, she wasn't. It wasn't like she was super wealthy. Her dad was. He was in finance, and basically he worked a lot and saved a lot of money and hadn't been working for a few years, and still was paying for all her stuff.
Yeah.
So the fact that he could afford
He
all that-
invested in the
In
only
his
things.
children, yeah.
But I think just distance kind of got to her, and I'm sure maybe that was hopefully maybe a reflection, something she was reflecting on after we broke up too, because I think she was very needy, and at that time I wasn't.
She was baby.
Yeah, she was baby, and I was kind of just
Am Angie.
So yeah, I think because there were definitely a lot of times it got to a point at the end where we were just fighting about things it was just stupid. So like she would, if I would be up studying or hanging out with friends, she would stay up and wait, and I would say like, don't do that, you need to go to sleep.
Yeah.
And then she would get upset or
That you told her to go sleep?
yeah, or
Oh,
like,
yeah, that
just
would
like
make me
Take care of your
I guess she
Don't tell me what to do.
yeah, I think she just felt like or I wasn't putting as much effort in as she was, and then that kind of came
How
out.
long was that taking place? That kind of back and forth.
I would say pretty much January to April, let's say,
Oh wow.
or maybe May.
So like the whole entire second semester.
Yeah.
So how were you able to like not be completely fed up early on and just be like, you know what, I'm done?
I think it was just the
Hopeful? Being
history
hopeful?
we had. Yeah, being hopeful, but I wouldn't say I don't know. It kind of just came out of nowhere, I think. Because, by January, like 2017, we had been dating for probably a couple years. And the first year of that was, we were together all the time. The second year was basically college. I don't know. First year and a half was together in Korea. And then 1 semester distance. And then by the second semester, spring 17, that was when I started to notice, like, things kind of declining. And I think I was just more independent than she was, and she didn't understand it. And I remember one time, so you guys know I love my dog. Like, I'm obsessed with my dog.
Soapy.
Soapy.
Yeah, I remember one time I sent her a picture of my dog, and I said,
Isn't she
I was
cute?
like, oh, she's so cute. And she said, wow, I wish you would talk about me like that.
Oh my god.
And that was kind of when I was like, I can't believe I literally was like, I can't do this. Like,
Oh boy.
you're making me feel like shit for no reason.
That is pretty bad.
Yeah, so
You should be like, you know what? Alright, put this leash on. We're going on. You're
I would go for a walk.
You're going to take a shit right now.
Oh my god.
You want to be treated like a
I feel like
man.
if it wasn't in a bad place, you know, it's kind of like girls do that shit all the time. Like we do that because it's like we're trying to be funny and we're trying to kind of give you shit on
But
the
she was
low.
being serious.
But I think she might have been serious in that point in time.
Yeah, she was. We had a lot of dumb fights that ultimately led me to. We talked about it, and it was a civil breakup. It's like, this is why I can't. I think we should stop dating. Like, it's not working. You're getting upset at me, and we just keep fighting. That's a whole nother story. She's, yeah, but yeah, I guess that's like emotionally abusive in some capacity.
Yeah.
Where she would just guilt trip me a lot about things that I couldn't really do.
I think in a relationship, you just shouldn't feel like your energy is constantly being drained, right?
Yeah, you shouldn't. That's what happened to me a lot too. It's like kind of like similar boat. I would do like a lot of things, right? Because I'm just that kind of like guy that like I would drop the hammer, right? If I'm like literally building a house, and this is like a very important like part of the actual structural rigidity of the house, right? And I just need to put this one nail in, right? But if you call, tell me it's like, you know, you're like falling off a cliff or whatever, right? That's an extreme. But I would drop that nail and hammer. Yeah, I would drop that hammer and that what's called the nail, and I'd go right there.
Yeah,
and then the
that's how
house
I
would just
am.
collapse.
That's how I am.
So that happened a lot, right? So I remember this other time.
And the house will never be built.
It never got built.
The house that Chris never built.
Yeah, exactly.
A novel by Chris.
The house that was never built. Which house? The house in my mind.
My emotional house.
Deep.
But yeah, like I remember she got really sick. Same girl. She got really sick, and pretty much I was taking care of her, right? Kind of like what Vince did. Just drove straight down to Urbana, took care of you.
That was so convenient. Well, it was actually at that point he was just visiting. I just so happened to throw my back out when I had that muscle spasm, like because it was just so because I was dehydrated from a. Sorry,
exercise science.
Sorry, Mom and Dad. I was drinking the entire weekend because it was unofficial.
Yo,
And
wow.
it was my senior year unofficial, and I had been drinking since like 6 a.m. the day before.
You're like, my back.
Yeah, I literally stood up too fast, and then Vincent was like, "Get on the ground," and I was like, "Oh my god!" And then I laid there because I refused to call an ambulance.
That's wild. But yeah, so I was taking care of her for like I want to say at least 4 or 5 days. No, I mean I still went home, right? 'Cause I just had to go home. I still went to class and everything like that, but every moment that I was not occupied by stuff that's gonna help me in the future, I would be over there. So if I do my homework, I just do my homework over there. Mm-hmm. If I didn't go to the gym at all for that week, and back then, for those that know me, that was like my life, and I dropped that just for that, you know. And I remember this one time it was during the weekend, I believe, and I texted her. Asking how she was doing, you know. I was about to head over. No response. So I was like, okay, she's probably sleeping. So I just let her be. 2 hours later, still no response. Like, okay, so that's fine. And then I just went off to do my own thing, right? She texts me, like, the timing is, like, so scary. Like, the second I got to one of my buddy's houses, and we already drove all the way out to, like, where was this? Like, I can't remember where we were. It was, like, Round 1, which is kind of like a Japanese arcade. Mm-hmm. That's, like, really far away from here. Like, at least 45-minute drive.
What's it like? It's like Fox Lake or something?
Yeah, Fox Lake, yeah. We were all the way out there, right? I was just going to spend a day out there with my boys. She texts me right as I got there. So 3 hours later, I just got there, texts me. I'm like, fuck. And then I just shoot her a text like, hey, I'm out with so-and-so right now, so I won't be home till tonight, but I'll come over tonight if you want me to come over. And then she's like, she said, why the fuck are you out there with him right now? Like, what do you have to gain from spending time with him? And I'm like,
I just want some plushies.
Well, it wasn't that.
Friendship?
Yeah, exactly. Like, and at the time, this was one of my. He still is my really good friend, and when he said that, or when she said that, I was like, I was lost for words, and I didn't know how to take
It's
it.
a control thing. They want you all to.
Yeah.
It's a control thing.
But here's another thing, though, right? Like that happened. We had an argument, resolved later on, whatever, right? But there was another one where it was like we were gonna go out to like Woodfield because she wanted to pick up some stuff, and I was like, all right, we'll do that. I got class. I'll come over after class, pick you up. Got out of class. My dad called me. He was at work. Had to pick up the kids, so I picked them up, got them food, and then I brought them home. And it was like an hour past the time I was like already out. And then she was like, "Where are you?" And I just told her the situation. And basically, okay, so I picked them up, got them food, and I immediately went there. Keep in mind, I didn't eat because I was like, okay, I dropped that hammer, right, just because like I had no other obligation, right? I show up there. I was like, do you want to grab food before we go? She's like, you just got food for your sister, but you didn't eat. And I'm like, no. Like, where's the logic in that? You know, it's like, it makes no sense.
Yeah. I think part of it is also like, there is a girl that I know is like that. She's very controlling in like relationships. She's very much, she wants that person to only want her. Like she'll drive them places. She'll do everything for them. Like she'll buy them like extravagant gifts and like things like that because that's how she shows love and control. And then but like her relationship doesn't last very long. But it's very much so like she thinks that she loves bombs them like completely and tries to control everything, and she's like, oh, if I have control of all aspects, then they won't leave me. And I think that for a lot of women, like for some women, like we've been shown that like you need to be in control, you need to have this control, or he's gonna leave you. You need to get a grip on everything, like, or he's just gonna abandon you. But that's also something that we're shown. It's toxic behavior we're taught from our own mothers. That's mirrored with the relationship they have with our fathers.
As an outsider, if you see your friend in that situation, what's the best way to kind of tell them and help them get out of that relationship?
I think
you can't really, because it's up to the individual.
If you're gonna force them, they're gonna cling harder. Yeah. So that's the way that it backfires. It's just kind of like, I'm noticing this. You have to let them burn. Yeah. And that sounds bad. But
sometimes you just gotta let wildfires
run loose. Yeah, you just gotta let it go. Like you gotta let it. It's gonna be really bad before it gets really good. Yeah. And sometimes like that's even what happens in our own relationships. Like things get really bad, but you hit rock bottom for a minute, but then you come right back up. And that is kind of a strange. But when you're on your way up, if you try to make sure you're never gonna hit that bottom again, then that's a good sign that you're moving out of that toxicity. And it's about recognizing your own behaviors in yourself. Like it could be like, I treat you like this because that was the way that I was shown. Or like I can say my own example. My mother, when she's very passionate, and I'm also very passionate about things that I feel and things that it's okay. And my emotions and things like that. And sometimes if I'm hurting, I know that I'll say it drives, like I will be borderline like really kind of cruel sometimes, but that's a behavior I was shown. And what I try to do is I try to soften it almost in the way that I explain it. So like, for example, I tell him like we're going to go back to the leak thing because that's a sore spot for me. But leak can make your bed then. How about that? Like leak and put lotion on your psoriasis patch. Like,
can we do that?
No.
No.
But one day.
Yeah, but for me it was like when you play League option A, it makes me feel upset and unimportant because when I come home, I want to spend time with you. I don't want to have to compete for time with you.
That makes sense.
So that's why I lay it out like that, because before it was just like, you're a fucking asshole, and then I would just shut down. I would just be angry, and then I would be passive aggressive about it, and he'd be like, why are you upset? You should know. Well, clearly he doesn't, because he's asking. Yeah. Because something that a woman thinks is not okay, or that I would never do, I can't assume that he wouldn't do it. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And the way that you're raised and shown as an example of how to treat people and how to treat your significant other is different than the way I was shown. And that's where we kind of have to work together.
That's where communicating is.
And especially if
crucial.
your communication styles are different, like that throws a whole other monkey wrench in there.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say your love language is? Do you know about that yet?
Yeah. I think the ones I got were words of affirmation, physical touch, and I don't remember what the last one was.
I know it's like, I think we may have done it together. Or
Yeah,
like we were talking about.
sure
I know mine is quality time, words of affirmation. I think mine are those two, and then I think yours were like acts of service or something like that. So like for me, when he spends time with me and he's not on his phone or he's not ghost tweeting at 1:00 in the morning, like, or things like that, then, and we're just together, like that means something to me. Whereas for him, if I empty the dishwasher or take out the trash, for him that shows him that I love him. Or I think yours was also like gifts or something. Gifts. So like I brought him lunch today at work.
Yeah.
And for him,
That's both acts of service and gift.
I made the chicken. First of all, I made the chicken, and then
Was
I
it
brought
good
it to
chicken?
him.
Oh shit.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's important to know that too, your love languages, and then being able to communicate that with your partner, because then that plays a role in setting boundaries and understanding each other, and it helps create a healthy relationship. Yeah,
I think like even calling somebody out on their toxic behavior is a big thing. Where it's like, whenever this happens, you do this, and I don't like it. That's also a thing that a lot of people I feel like are afraid of saying and speaking their truth. Because they don't want to come off as like mean or cruel, and they don't want to hurt the other person even though they've hurt you. And I think that's a big thing that we're also taught, especially women are taught. Like, don't be mean, don't be cruel, say sorry, like keep the peace, things like that. Your man can run wild and he can be a complete fuckhead for all he wants, and he can treat you any way you want, but you're expected to be like the soft one.
That's pretty crappy, man. That it's like such a double standard like that. Like from being raised as a boy or a girl, right? There's like the stuff that you're kind of taught. Well, not really taught, but like it's kind of like what you observe, right? And kind of like it's like, okay, in order to protect myself, in order to kind of like do what's better for me in your own eyes, right? It's like how, like you said, like the person you have the most beef with in your family is like, that's how you don't want to be, and then you're fighting that, right, to not be that one individual.
But you end up doing it.
Yeah.
You end up marrying the parent you have the most beef with.
That's so shit.
That is, but that's all you know, because that means that you're the parent that's been the abused. Usually either you're the abused, like for men, you usually you marry your mother, which is the thing. And women marry their fathers. That's always how it's been stereotypically.
But here's the thing, though.
But
like my situation is completely
the opposite.
flip-flop.
So that's why I'm saying that, like, you marry the parent you have the most beef with. So like
So
you're
I'm
gonna
gonna
marry
marry
your dad.
God damn it!
no, you're coming out of the closet.
No, I'm not. But that also explains why I'm. Well, it doesn't explain why I'm always chasing like broken.
Emotionally unavailable.
Emotional. Yeah.
That's also another part of the toxicity.
It's crazy because when you find those girls though, it's like they happen to be that. You know what I mean? It's not like you're intentionally looking for something.
You're
like
attracted to it because as a victim,
That's so weird.
As someone who's you've been abused. Like
I have been abused. I'm not gonna
and
deny
I
that
have too.
have.
And
Wait,
so,
but what about a first interaction with someone? Like
So here's the
text
you're attracted to. There's something in it that it's familiarity that you're attracted to.
I don't know what happened, right? But like after
It's the
that
chase.
after the whole like incident with like my very emotionally like messed up relationship that was, yeah, every other girl that I've seen or that I was interested in and I was talking to were all kind of like the same in terms of like their emotional availability. They were not really there. And that, now that you said that, it's like, it's just kind of mind-boggling that it's kind of like it's attached to me.
But then the thing is like when they give you what you meet somebody that gives you what you need, you don't know what to do with it. Like there'll be times where like I tell him like, oh, I wish you would be more like lovey-dovey, and he's like, okay, you asked for it. And then because he's not super outwardly affectionate, like, but that's just how you were raised, and that's the way you communicate love. So for me, it was like I just need XYZ, and he would do that, and I would be like it's not ew, like gross. It's more like, what do I do with this? Because I never felt like I deserved it or I was worthy of it. So when I do get it, then I'm like, what did you do? Like, what did you do wrong? You must have done something wrong, or you're about to hurt my feelings really bad and you're trying to ease the blow. Because that's the experience I've had, is that they butter you up and then they
toss you.
They lay down the hammer, or they're like, I don't want to do this anymore, or, I just don't think I love you anymore.
Yeah.
When it's really that they're stressed out about an exam or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's also behavior that needs to be addressed. Like, you have to start recognizing it in yourself. I think a big takeaway, like, for even men, is noticing the behavior and changing the behavior and having a plan to change it. And I also think that going and talking to a therapist, especially for young men, is so stigmatized, and that's why the toxic behavior continues. That if you don't check yourself, like, no one has to know you go to therapy, no one has to know anything, there's no shame in it. I think it's shameful if you don't go.
Shout out to Curtis.
Yeah.
Curtis, if you listen to this, you the man.
Yeah. So, like, that's my thing. Like, especially as a woman, or, like, there's no harm in going.
Yeah.
And addressing that toxic behavior, because then if you guys end up having children of your own and you're creating that same cycle, your daughters learn that they can be talked to like that. Your sons learn that they can be terrible to women like that, or to their own partners, or whichever.
But here's the thing, though. It's like, it's the weirdest... I don't know. It's the weirdest thing in the world. Because I grew up in a situation where, like, very early on, my parents broke up, they were divorced, and very early on I learned the reasoning behind it, like why it all happened and everything like that. It just like struck a nerve in me as a kid growing up, and I was like, you know what, I'm never gonna have a relationship like my dad and mom, right? And that's why like I feel like I strive to like give to make sure that doesn't happen. And then I feel like it's because of that it's backfiring on me every single time, because like it's like it gets the other person all guarded. It's like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? What's happening? This is too much affection for one person to like receive.
Predictable unpredictability is what I call it. Like, something's gonna happen, but I don't know the severity of it. Like, I know for me, like, I can...
And that sucks, though. Right?
Like, I'm very, like, in tune with vibes. Like, there's this meme, it's like maybe it's a Pisces thing, but like it's all like there's like this meme from like It's Sunny in Philadelphia, and it's like, you left a first date because the vibes were off, and it goes, first of all, I'm a Pisces, write that down. Like, I'm very in tune with like vibes and feelings, and so like I can always get a vibe that like something's gonna happen, but the fear then strikes me of I don't know what. So I know something's gonna happen, whether it's a fight, whether it's like some one of us is gonna be in a depressive mood, or something's gonna happen. But I'm trying to figure out how to control it, because I don't want to be in that negative space. So I'm trying to bite it now and then fix it. But because we can't control everything. And I think for me, like, the biggest thing was, as a victim of the abuse, the emotional, the mental abuse, and even in a couple cases physical, like, you try to protect yourself and you try to fix everything. Because you've been blamed for everything for so long, you want to be the fixer now instead of what someone has told you were the problem and the cause of.
Do you guys believe that in relationships, taking a break would solve some issues?
No, not at all.
Yeah, I don't know.
On my stomach.
I was like,
I usually believe that people don't change. I think, like, some people can learn from experiences, but kind of, when you take a break, you're just clinging on to, like, hope that you're just going to come back. And it doesn't really allow people to kind of reflect on why. Because when you're taking a break, you're technically still together, I would say. So I think a lot of people take that as like, oh yeah, like we're gonna figure out like our future, but they don't. The impact isn't strong enough that they actually feel like they learn something or they're able to learn something from it. You know what I'm trying to say?
Kind of. Like they say it just so they
to soften the blow.
Yeah. So it's kind of like someone I know, right? They were on a break, but he kind of saw it as done.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And then and then she didn't, right?
Uh-huh.
And I feel like if they broke up instead of doing that, the impact could have been different, and that maybe she would have learned something from it,
or even he would.
Yeah.
Like
why couldn't he just say?
Because
I'm done.
I think part of it is that they don't want to be like, sometimes like it's gonna tie it back to us because I have a lot of examples.
No.
We broke up for a while. Me and him were broken up.
We were on a break for about a month and a half.
For about a month and a half. And
not a lot of people know that.
No.
But now the whole world knows that.
Now the whole world knows, and we just aired out all our dirty laundry. I know we're always the kind of.
For me, it helped though.
For me, it made me angry at you all the time.
It helped me because
you're doing stupid shit, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Well, because at that time, like that break actually helped me. Like I did the opposite of what you would describe as someone who takes that break. Right? I actually reflected.
Did you guys break up and then come back together, and you're calling it a break now, or did you guys just say we're gonna go on a break?
He decided. Okay, let me set the scene. So he decided over text message that we were going on a break because he wasn't sure if he wanted to marry me, and I was like, "What? I have an exam I gotta take. What are you talking about?" Like we hadn't even talked about getting married. We'd been together almost 4 years at that point, and I was like, I was kind of like, I don't care if we're getting married or not. Joke's on me now, but like I was kind of neither here nor there about like us being married. I was like, we could be together forever as long as I know you want to be with me forever and you're not going anywhere, marriage or not, it's fine. And that philosophy still kind of applies. Like I know you want to be with me forever, and if you're stuck with me, then like you just need to prove to me that I'm the one, like that you're gonna be here and you're not going anywhere and you're not gonna threaten to leave. He said that he was unsure, but what was historically happening was that exams would come up and he would get stressed and he wouldn't be able to know how to verbally communicate to me that he was stressed out. So he thought that he would fight me all the time and just be an overall negative person, and he would try to break up with me.
That's crazy.
Because that was his way of fixing the problem when I wasn't the problem.
Yeah.
He was the problem. And his way of thinking was...
Exams were the problem.
Exams were the problem. His way of thinking was the problem because he thought like I was asking too much when all I said was, I just need you to communicate. And communication wasn't his strong point at that point. Yeah. He told me he needed a break from me, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, but I said, okay, so if we're on a break, I don't want to talk to you. We're not dating other people. We're not doing other things. Like, we're focusing on exams, and then after exams are over, we need to come together and talk. And he went, yeah, sure, and completely disregarded all that and would text me every single day. Called me Rachel, which he never does unless we're fighting.
Rachel.
And I was like, "Am baby."
Rachel.
And I was like, "Am baby. What are you talking about? Like, you only refer to me as baby." And he would not tell me he loved me anymore. Like, it really threw me through a loop. And that was the week of my exams because U of I ended before Loyola did. And so
that's crazy, man.
And so then we were apart for about a month, and we would talk periodically, and he'd be like, "Oh, I don't know when I'm coming back," and I like was going through the stages of grief. I was crying all the time, like I was so upset. I like went to when I was at the U of I, there's like a Japanese tea garden. I literally stood in the middle of the field in the middle of the night and screamed at the top of my lungs because I was so upset.
Holy cow.
I was so mad, and I was just angry at that point. And I went, fuck you. I was over it. I was like, listen here. I said, I'm not waiting forever for you. Either shit or get off the pot. You know what I mean?
You know how I used to drive with the Blueberry?
Yeah.
She found a red one, and she said, fuck you.
Oh
she
my
like
God,
flipped it off every day.
Oh my God, yeah. It was parked by my parents' house, and I would just give it the finger like every day. I was so angry. I couldn't even enjoy the things I wanted anymore. Because
we did all of it.
We did everything together. You ruined everything for me.
Sorry.
Sorry, I got caught. But at that point, we then decided to get back together. And because and shout out to Jan Kalunam, because he said, what kind of white girl dates an Asian dude? Rachel does. So don't let that get away.
Fucking Jan. The shit Jan says.
But it helped. Because Vincent was like, damn, you're right.
Shit.
And we got back together, but
Yeah.
when we got back together, I said, look, like, there are a lot of expectations that I have about our relationship going forward, and I'm not going to put up with a lot of the same things I used to. I'm not going to continue to baby you. I'm not going to tiptoe on eggshells around you. Like, yes, exams are going to come up. They happen every year you're in college. Get the fuck over it. You need to communicate better, and you need to do this. If you're going to act like that, I don't want to do this anymore.
Right.
And it changed. You were better about communicating, which was a big thing for you because you never really had to communicate. Right. You were always shut down.
But that's what I'm saying, though. During that break, like, I was reflecting.
I feel like that's the difference, right? It's like when you just hear someone saying, like, oh, yeah, me and my boyfriend took a break, or me and my girlfriend took a break. I feel like they never... Not saying, it's everyone, right? But, like, I feel like majority of people, they don't really set, like, ground rules.
No.
Right? In terms of, like, what this break means and what we're going to do during this break before we actually come back together and talk about it.
Yeah.
Right? What you did, where you're like, we're not going to see other people. I'm not going to talk to you during this entire time until, like, exams are over. And vice versa, you got to do the same thing because that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I feel like that's what a lot of people don't do. So that's why, like, when friends are like, oh, we're on a break, I don't know what to do, I'm like, you need to set out ground rules. I'm a planner. I've always been a planner. I like rules. I like structure. And so, like, I'm all about, like, the structure isn't set in stone, but it can be kind of talked about and mixed. But I do like to have a general structure about stuff. I feel like you're the same way. You and I both like to plan. And so for me, that's why I said, okay, well, just so there's no confusion and there's no, like, oh, I accidentally made out with this girl. Like, no.
There's no accident.
There's no accidents. Like, I'm very much so, like, okay, so we're on this break.
Yeah.
We're going to be apart. We don't have an exact time. I knew in my head that if by the time I went back to school, to campus, if we weren't back together, I had to pull the plug. And as much as it was going to kill me, like, I knew that I had to make the decision because he wouldn't. Because if he wasn't ready and he wasn't going to change, he wasn't willing to change, I couldn't be with him.
Yeah.
But the fact that he stepped up and was like, there are things I got to change, there are things I need to work on, and he was willing to do that.
Because part of me was also like, this is just running away from the problem. And I'm like, I'm not running anymore. I hate cardio.
Oh my God. Mental cardio. I'm burning too many calories thinking about this shit. I'm coming back.
Yeah. But that was also a big thing. And then even going forward, like, there's still conversations that continually happen because relationships are growing. Like, you always grow and you always change. And
but that's the beauty behind it, though, right? It's like you're growing as individuals, right? While still kind of like having a support structure and like a safe spot to kind of like fall back on in case shit hits the fan. And I think there's arguments, but it comes full circle.
I think also part of it was that we spent majority of our relationship apart. So a lot of people, like, we have friends where they meet somebody and they're immediately moving in together. Or like you have people that move in together and they're already living together for like a month. And, that it's all really fast and then it falls apart. But we spent 4 years apart. I lived in another city for like 4 years and he was here. So it changed the way we communicated and the way that we dealt with things. Like, I would constantly drive back here. I had a car, luckily.
Damn.
I would constantly drive from Champaign to Loyola to get him so we could fight in person.
Oh, man.
Because he shuts down.
Yeah.
When we fight. Because the way that he was taught to communicate was silence. Don't express feeling, push it down, and then it'll blow up later. Whereas I'm like, let's talk about it now. I want to solve it now because I can't fix it 6 months.
Are you the same way, man? Like,
yeah, as her. Yeah,
just putting everything out there.
I like to, cause like she said, like, I'm a planner and I like to keep things organized. Otherwise, everything gets jumbled and I get confused. And I like to deal with things when they happen usually, because when I internalize things, it builds up and the pressure increases and then it gets worse.
Where did that come from? Because most times Asian men, they don't speak up.
I have a pretty westernized Asian family. My dad is basically a white man. But I think I don't know if I can attribute it to my family. I think definitely when we had problems growing up, or like, yeah, when my dad and I would, you know, argue, it was never like I wasn't allowed to say anything, right? I would listen to whatever he would have to say, and then he would always like it was like
It was a back and
two-way,
forth.
yeah, back and forth kind of thing. Unless I, you know, most of the time I was wrong because I was a spoiled brat, so usually I just sit there and take it. But, communication was always important in my household, so that's probably part of it too.
I feel like for a lot of, from what I'm seeing with westernized versus traditional, in the traditional communication's not taught.
It isn't taught.
It's not. It's considered disrespectful. It's considered
it was.
like you're a bad son. You're
Filial piety.
yeah. It's like
Yeah.
respecting your elders, that type of shit.
Like a lot,
Even if they're wrong.
I've heard like last summer I worked at Universal, and one of my coworkers, my team leaders, she's Korean, and she told me that in her family it's disrespectful to talk when the elders don't allow you to. Like, you have to get permission. And I was like, she was like, yeah, it's a Korean thing, right? Like, you get that. And I was like, I don't. Like,
My father's white.
yeah, like, my family's pretty Americanized. Like, I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that was a thing in Korea either. Like, I never heard that from a lot of my Korean friends when I lived there. But I guess that is a thing. And yeah, she said, like, we weren't allowed to talk unless we were given permission.
I wonder if that carries over to her outside of, you know, the household.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. I mean...
And she's a female.
Yeah.
The double whammy. Because society teaches women not to really talk back. I don't... Well, not now. Everything's changing, though.
No, even now. Like, well, I mean, my generation and my sisters, like, my mother is very outspoken. And so she's always been about, it's the same thing that I taught you guys, like, with all of our sons, was very much like, if you do not like something, you need to say so. Because the only person that can fix it is you. Don't sit there and take it if you don't like it.
If you don't like something, say something.
Yeah, if you don't like something, say something. And that's always been my philosophy. And so that's how I am with him. Like, with my other relationship, it was very much, be quiet. Do not say what you don't like, because he'll just scream at you. But for him, he was like, no, if you don't like something, I want you to tell me. Yeah. Where you may have fucked up then, because all I do is I'm like, stop playing late. Yeah. But that was also a thing for me, is I come from a very Western family. Yeah. We're American. I'm white. But my mother is very much like, let's talk about your feelings and things like that. Which I think is a big thing about being toxic, is talk about your feelings.
Yeah.
With that being said, Matt, what advice would you give to our listeners about toxic relationships, communication? Speaking of,
I think, yeah, like we've talked about, I think setting like ground rules for a relationship is very important, because you do want to see like eye to eye with each other.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's hard to say, because usually when I have friends that are in, or like family that are in toxic relationships, I don't like to tell them what to do, because they don't, like we said, like they cling harder. They just see it as us trying to pull them away from something that they care about. I usually just tell them what I feel, and if they want to accept what I'm saying, then they will. Like someone very close to me, which you guys know about, it took him months to finally realize and see what everyone was telling him. But I think, just communicating is probably one of the most important things in any relationship, because if you guys don't talk about your disagreements, because disagreements are always going to happen, and if you guys don't address them or discuss why they're coming up, then you're never it's not going to go anywhere, right? And then things get worse because you're just going to keep fighting. I would say.
All right. Okay. Awesome. How about you, Rachel?
I think
any input? Or was that pretty
basic? Yeah, it was pretty usually, like, we're really similar in the way we think, so like I pretty much agree with it. And like,
you're pretty much dating your little brother or your little child.
Well, that's the thing. It's like I've always said, like, my biggest thing is, if you don't like something, say something. Yeah. Especially in relationships, whether it's platonic, work, romantic, say something, because if you're like, you know what, it makes me feel this way because you do this, and I don't like it, and I think we need to change that behavior, that's gonna open up a lot of doors for you. because I know it has. Because for a lot of people, you just have to lay it out. Like if you're just like, oh, it hurts my feelings, you do that. Where it's like, I'm sorry you feel that way. No, I don't like A, and it makes me feel like B. I would appreciate if you did C.
Yeah, I don't think I've known anyone, I don't think I've ever known anyone that has internalized things or just kept it to themselves and pushed it aside and have felt better because of it. Someone I know that I'm really close to right now is in a relationship where they literally, I would say at least every 3 days, fight about the same thing for the past few months. And it's literally the same thing, and he brings it up to me, but he won't talk about it, and that's fine. Like, I don't force people to talk about stuff they don't want to share.
Right.
But he gets very upset, and he's kind of a hothead too. So he gets very upset, and then they never address it, right? They fight, he doesn't talk to her, and then he comes back, and they're back to normal. And it's really weird hearing that, because it's just
That's
like
it's
literally,
It's all swept under the rug. It's never
it's just a
addressed.
cycle, and it's
Like we said earlier,
like
circular.
using the sweeping under the rug analogy or metaphor. The pile gets bigger. One day you're not going to be able to cover all the shit that's under it.
So you need a maid.
Yeah.
Cleaning service.
Emotional support.
Well, yeah, that actually happened to me too, and
I feel like that happens for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So it's just basically check your shit. You know what I mean?
check your shit, speak out, don't hold it back.
Yeah.
You'll have a much more happy life.
Healthy, happy life.
Speak up, but don't say it in a way that's like
Demeaning.
or cruel or just like too
Condescending.
blunt or forward. Like really, really think before you speak.
Awesome.
Write out what you have to say if you need to.
Yeah.
It's easy to lose your trail of thought.
Or don't say your trail of thought out loud because it's gonna
Usually
get you
your
in
emotions
trouble.
come out first, so think about it for a bit, reflect on it before you.
And don't make assumptions like about what
Yeah.
the other person feels or thinks
Yeah.
without consulting them.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So, with that said, thank you guys for dining with us.
Of course. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure. And for all our listeners and watchers or viewers, thank you for dining with the TheEatingCast, and we will see you on the next one.
Bye-bye.
Take care.